Let's talk all-age comic books. Hi, we're going to talk about maybe 8 or 10 really cool all-age comic books or graphic novels that are going to be great for kids of varying ages, some as young as 3. Can you believe it? It's hard. You know what? Let's start at that really young age, why don't we? This is from a publisher that we really like. They, when our children were younger, you don't want to say they're the main producers of really young superhero books, but they're one of the go-to publishers if you're looking for a superhero book for those really young kids. And I mean really young, like those 3-year-old kids who want a superhero book time for story time. Check it out, Downtown Bookworks, and their latest is DC Superhero Origin Stories. Now these are bite-sized, go-to-bed stories that are 3 to 5 minutes long. Technically, their website says 3 minutes, but you know what? Any 3-minute goodnight book story that's worth its salt, you can stretch it out to 5 minutes and the kids still love it. Or you can read 2 of them and you've got 6-minute books time, so 6-minute goodnight stories, or however you want to skin that, because it's beautiful stuff. And this is short stuff. It's very pop culture centric, and it's not going to be the same stuff that maybe you or I had as a good night story. So check it out. Superhero Origin Stories. It is from Downtown Bookworks, and that's a publisher that has a lot of really neat stuff. If you're not familiar with them, it's worth checking out their website. In comic books, don't be alarmed by the price point for this. I'll lead with that and say it's $7.99, but check out the art, and then check out the cover and check out the title. Flavor Girls. Now, don't be put off by the title and think it's some offshoot from In Living Color, albeit 2 decades too late. This is a mini-series from Boom Studios. Boom Studios, again, one of those great comic book publishers that really produce consistently great work. One of their imprints is A.X.E. We've liked them for a long time, too. They do the Jim Henson Storyteller series. We've loved that for years. This one is Flavor Girls. It's a 3-issue miniseries, so that's why the price is $7.99 for this first issue. Maybe it'll come down with issue 2 and 3. I'm thinking it's a little thicker, too, than the average comic book. It's worth checking out, though. Check out the art. I describe it as kind of a Sailor Moon, but with more action, and for all ages, and for boys or girls. Now, getting boys to jump into this series might be a little challenging, just because you've got 5 girls on the cover. And that could be a tough selling point for some dudes, some young dudes. But it's a very action-centric comic book. And it's not centered on princesses. So if you've got the stereotype that if it's a girl-centered or a girl-targeted comic book, it's going to be all about princesses and, hey, I'm falling asleep waiting for someone to kiss me and wake me up. This is not that kind of comic book. This has some action in it. It's about discovery, and the art is gorgeous. It's worth checking out. Flavor Girls, issue 1 of 3. It's out this week. Another graphic novel. This one's from Random House. I believe it's published by Scholastic. Could be wrong on that one. We'll just say Random House. Twin Cities. Twin Cities. It's not going to be for everybody because it's about twins. So obviously they're siblings and they're twins. But they're on the Mexican side of the U.S.-Mexican border. One of them goes to the States. One of them stays back in Mexico. And hilarity ensues. Actually, I'm not sure what happens. That's just my go-to for whenever I'm not sure what to say. Hilarity ensues. It's a graphic novel. It's going to be good for those upper elementary through middle school readers who want a little bit of realism with their graphic novels, because this is a graphic novel that's not based in superheroes in tights. It's just based on kids who are siblings who are dealing with a real world situation. You know, it's fiction. It's fiction. It's a tough one to describe, isn't it? Realistic fiction is the best way to call that, because it could really happen, but it's certainly fiction in this case. Check it out, Twin Cities by Jose Pimienta. Looks like the art and the story. Go, Jose. It's your birthday. What else we got? Now this one, a little jarring, because some people are going to, I'll call it, has the Barney effect, because some people are going to be immediately put off by just the fact that, how dare they put this out there. Some people will say, you know what, my child loves this. Of course, we want more of this. Jojo Siwa. Jojo Siwa. It's her world. We are just living in it. This one is a graphic novel. It's actually volume 2 in her graphic novel series. Jojo Siwa's Adventures. This is the terrific time twist. I'm guessing Jojo Siwa and a couple of her friends go back in time. Who's going to like this? Those elementary school girls. Maybe even those pre-K girls who like Jojo Siwa. And she's done a great job of pivoting her image, because she's got that case where, you know what, she's had big limelight when she was a teen, but now she's getting out of her teens, going into her young 20s, but she's making the best of it. So check this out if your girls like Jojo Siwa and they're having taught elementary school for a couple of years as a substitute. I know that there are legions of Jojo Siwa fans out there in the elementary school ranks, and this one is for them. Elementary School Jojo Siwa, a terrific time twist. It's her second graphic novel. Kids, I'll go boys. You hate to say comics are for boys or girls, but when the rubber hits the road, that's kind of the case. Like Jojo Siwa, it's going to attract very few boy readers. This comic book is going to attract mainly male readers, and I'll say upper elementary school and up. And it's a big up, and if you're interested in this title, call your comic book store today because it sells out quickly. It's Fortnite Marvel Zero War. It's a crossover series. This is issue 2 of 5. Fortnite did a crossover series last year with DC. Crazy popular. Sold out every time. This one is somewhat exceptional, but I think mainly because retailers are ordering more of them because they realized it was going to be really successful. When I was teaching this past spring 2022, there were lots of kids who were like, wow, Fortnite's doing comic books? And I'm like, well, they're not really doing comic books. They're doing crossovers with Marvel and DC. This is the Marvel version, and it is really fun. as kind of a skeptic and somebody who gets trounced anytime I try to play Fortnite with my kids, it's a pretty good comic book because it puts the Marvel heroes into the world of Fortnite and says, who's your daddy? And it's actually surprisingly fun. Our kids love it. A 12-year-old goes absolutely mental over it. The 10-year-old likes it a little bit, but he's more on the Fortnite side of things. Great comic book. If you are interested, call your comic book store today because this one could sell out. Now, for you high school kids, or adults, or you Up the Iron fans, I just put this in there just because it's fun and it makes me laugh, and I kind of want it. It's Iron Maiden, the official coloring book. 72 pages of spectacular illustrations with more than 24 pages you can color of Eddie doing his Eddie thing. Love this band. Iron Maiden, glad they're still around doing great stuff, and they pivoted with the times they have. You middle school kids will like this. I'll say middle school boys more than girls. Daredevil is rebooting to an extent. Daredevil #1. It's, of course, a Marvel Comics entity, but anytime a major title, like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man just did it, Daredevil just did it, I was cynical for a while saying, oh, they're just trying to get the numbers in, but realistically, it does help bring in new readers because new readers are going to be off-put by the fact that a series is on issue number 8 and they're not going to know where the story is. Case in point, we just picked up the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 5, I think. It was either 5. Yeah, I think it is 5. We picked it up this past week because we've been reading it for years, and a storyline has just ended. It is kind of welcoming because, you know, if you get an issue number 1, you're like, okay, I know exactly where the story's going to go, or I don't know because we're all at the same playing field. Thus, Daredevil #1, it is out, and I think you'll like it. Every summer, just like the heat and the kudzu, where I live, is predictable, comes also the crossovers, and these are the joints that the comic, the major, like the big two, DC or Marvel. They'll do something to say, hey, look at us, buy some comic books. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This one might work. I kind of look forward to checking it out. It's Eye of Judgement. Basically, what's happening is the Eternals, which was a bad movie, any way you cut it. The Eternals are doing something with the mutants. The Avengers are in there. I'll just say I'm curious, man, because I want to like it. because I like more properties than just kind of what I subscribe to on my normal pull list, and this may help introduce me to some of those people. Eye of Judgement. It's the summer mini-series from Marvel. It's going to be great for those kids in middle school and up. Some of those upper elementary school kids might be hip enough to get it and to know the characters and read it, but we're going to give it a shot. This one's interesting. Who's ever heard of a graphic novel that's been published by the Mayo Clinic? Not me. So, hey, I'm in that one. I've never heard of it. And until this week, My Life Beyond Neurofibromatosis. I've got to say that again. My Life Beyond Neurofibromatosis. Fibromatosis. Blech, that's a tongue twister, isn't it? I'm not a doctor, obviously. But this is one of the things that graphic novels can do so well. And if large hospitals and those doctors and scientists that know much more about those things can make it approachable and discernible for those younger kids and those adults who want to learn about it, or at least be curious, dive into it, man. And that's the purpose of this graphic novel. Basically, you're talking about Leo. He's a boy with neurofibromatosis. He's visiting New York for a treatment, and strange things happening. I haven't read this graphic novel. It just seems really interesting because we're a fan of the science comics from first, second books. And those graphic novels are awesome because I could care less about volcanoes, but if you give me a graphic novel about volcanoes, I'll read it and become curious about them. Same for bats or any of the first, second books. And if the Mayo Clinic can make a great graphic novel about neurofibromatosis and make kids curious and make adults want to learn more and price it at $9, yeah, I'll buy it. That comes out next week. Think you'll like it? Think you'll... who will like it? I'll just say those kids with an open mind. Especially those kids who have fibromatosis. Especially those kids with it, or those families with it, or those just STEM kids who are curious. Makes me curious. I'm curious about what you're reading. What are you reading? If it's anything fun, please hook us up online. Say @DaddyMojo on Twitter. Or you can shoot us an email, Trey, Trey, @daddymojo.net, and let us know what you're reading.